what I am feeling, then the truth is just believing. You're my diamond girl.
This series is called My Story, and we get to share the stories of powerful people on our staff, and we use their stories for inspiration to help you as students and staff members and parents see what's possible. And I'm really excited to be speaking to our next person, Mrs. Hernandez. She's one of our teachers here at EBC, and she has a powerful story, and I hope you guys are ready for it. How are you, Miss Hernandez? How are you doing?
Good.
Good. So we'll get started and we'll just ask the basics. So you were born and raised in Brooklyn?
Yes. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I was born in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, and I was raised in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Really? You're from Brownsville?
Yeah.
Oh my God. What part of Brownsville are you from?
I was actually raised in Cephalo Project.
Oh,
I'm thinking Avenue.
God bless you. God bless you. We won't say your age or anything else. So let's talk about who you was raised with. It was mom and dad. Was it just mom, brothers, sisters?
My dad did not raise me. My mother raised me up until the age of 12. And that's when my grandmother took over. My mother, back in the days, they didn't really speak about this, but she did died of AIDS. And I was 12. She was 28 years old when she passed away. And then my grandmother took four of us, one older brother, he was a year older than me, and two younger siblings. So it's four in total that my grandmother had to raise.
Wow.
Back then.
And you were in Suffolk all this time?
Yes, but then I became a young mom, and then I once how it is back in the days, you pregnant, you're out.
Oh,
so
wow.
I had to live in different places. So I would pregnant, even with my child, I would go from one place to another, and relocate.
Wow. So let's go back a little bit because I feel like students need to kind of really digest what you said. You said it real quick, but it's a powerful thing. So at 12 years old, you go to live with mom. Mom passes away, and your mother had you when she was 16 because she was 28, and you so okay. How was that transition? Because some of our students might be going through that, where they're living with different family members and mom passing away. How was that for you?
It was a struggle. I had to deal with depression. I had to deal with transitioning, and pretty much handle all of that while I'm in public school. Not to say high school. I was 12 years old, and I was just about to graduate from public school. I actually went to PS 332. I don't know if you know that school. It's right on Christopher Street, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it was a struggle, and when you have a parent that passed away and you don't know what HIV or AIDS is, it can be a confusing and depressing time for a 12-year-old.
Wow. Okay, so you're 12 years old, and thank you for sharing that. I think that's for the students that are out there listening, some of you guys might be having some similar challenges, and you might feel like it's just me. Um, we all have the same struggles in different ways, so we can relate to you. So you're 12 years old, you go to live with grandma. Now, let's fast forward a little bit to high school. What high school did you go to?
Several.
Okay.
Several. I was accepted to Norman Thomas High School. And that was
And
such
that's in the Bronx, correct?
Manhattan, 33rd.
Manhattan?
Yeah.
Yeah, 33rd. Okay.
hmm And it was a huge school. And I wasn't going to class. That first year, I was just lost. I wasn't a follower. I was doing my own thing. I was just, to myself most of the time. But I just was not motivated. I wasn't interested in school. I just had so much of emotional issues going on that was not my focus. That was not my goal at the time. But very big school. And then from Norman Thomas, I end up going to Bushwick High School. And in Bushwick High School, same thing. Again, I wasn't, focused, motivated. And for the most part, even in public school, high school, junior high school, there's always a teacher. There's always that teacher that notices you and and can feel what you're going through. And in high school, I had this teacher. She was actually a tutor at the time. Now she's the director of a college teacher team, and she has a doctor's degree. So we still keep in touch. This teacher slash tutor. But yeah, she was there for me, and she guided me. But again, I found that I was pregnant in high school, and then
Oh, hold on. You fast forwarding. So you're a freshman in high school, and you said something that I wanted you to talk a little bit about. You said that you weren't interested in school, and I guess there were other teachers that were trying to motivate you, but you just weren't. You didn't connect with them. But for some reason, you connected to this woman. Why weren't you able to? And this is for the teachers that are listening. Why weren't you able to connect to some of those teachers? Like what happened?
you know why? Because she loved me. I'm just gonna straight out say it. She truly loved me as a student and just as an individual. And I can see that now. Back then I'm like, oh, she cared, but she truly loved her students. Like,
You didn't feel like the other teachers loved you?
no, it was like your number next. You know what I mean? Especially if you're in a big high school. Um, but yeah, I'm not saying all teachers didn't care, but
You
for the
felt
most
it from
part,
her.
oh yeah, she just cared, and she did guide me and help me. I did, like I mentioned, I did find out I was pregnant for my daughter.
And what grade was that, if you don't
I
mind?
was in I was in the 10th grade, but you know how it is when you are behind. So they put you in the 11th, but you are behind, So I was about 17 years old. I was 17 years old when I found out I was pregnant, and I was dropping out. Um,
Wow.
which she did help me get into. This is the third high school. She helped me get into Bushwick Outreach, which that was an awesome school. The teachers were motivated. They were there for me, but again, I was dealing with the pregnancy and just dealing where I'm gonna stay. Like where I'm gonna be locating. So that was like the least of my priorities when it came to, okay, where am I gonna stay for at least one more month.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I definitely dropped out. I eventually dropped out of high school, and then I had my daughter.
Okay. So you dropped out of high school, you went back to Bushwick Outreach. And did you eventually graduate on time? Did it take you another year? Like, how was that? Because again, if we're being honest, there's some students that they're thinking about dropping out or they have dropped out already and going to a Bushwick Outreach, they're like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I give up. What was that whole experience like for you, for the students and the teachers to hear this?
Well, everything was pretty much kind of like back to back to back. Besides the fact that when I did give birth, I had a time period where I just didn't have childcare. But Bushwick, Norman Thomas was the first school. Then I went to Bushwick High School, and then I transitioned right into Bushwick Outreach because that's like the last resort. And then I officially dropped out from Bushwick Outreach. That was like no more high school for me. You know,
Okay. And then you eventually went back to school, or did you get your GED, or what did you do?
got my GED. So
Okay.
I had my daughter. I was 18. Again, I still needed my living situation to be, right. So I went to City Tech for my GED and college. and I got my GED.
At
And
what age? What age were you?
I was 19, about
Okay.
19, going into 20. You know how you finish off the year, 19, 20. And I was working. I was working in the children's place clothing store. I don't know if you know that store.
Yes, yes, yes.
And then I took city exams during that time. I took a lot of city exams. And while I was in college, and I already got my GED, right? I was in City Tech. I was pursuing architect. And I remember when the professor did like a timeline on more or less when you're gonna graduate, and more or less when you get your degree, internship, and all that. And I had my daughter at the time, and I was calculating, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I gonna do this when I don't have the childcare that I need? And then the post office called me, and I had to drop out of college, which I did at the time, and I went into the post office, and I did that for about 5 months. That was not my when I want our children to know that when you pursue your career, you need to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, you're not going to do your job to the best of your ability and help people out, and your negative vibes would just transfer onto whoever you're working with or helping. And so yeah, I didn't like it, but I didn't let go of the job until I ended up working for the police department as a school safety agent.
Good. And that's the part, what I think is powerful about your story is the next part that's coming up, because I feel like you make such a turn. You make such a like growth spurt, and we both know what you're going to talk about. And what I would like the students and the teachers to hear is, she said something that was powerful. She talked about having different jobs and also knowing your purpose and what you're destined to do. And she did what she needed to do, and she worked at all these different places, and she made ends meet, but that wasn't her purpose, and that wasn't her calling. And she's going to talk about this, and I think this is the coolest part of the story that I really want the students and the teachers and the parents to hear, because this is the cool part. Could you talk to me a little bit about the transition now from being a safety agent to becoming a teacher?
So when I did school safety for 12 years, and I loved it. It's that wasn't a career that I disliked. As long as I was helping people, I that was my joy. I did my job at the end of the day. So I did that for 12 years. But while I was working for school safety, I had more kids. I'm like, okay, I'm settled. My husband and I are settled. We've been together actually for 26 years. That's the baby daddy. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, I want to talk about that too later on, because I think you guys have a nice relationship. But go ahead.
So I did it for 12 years, and I had my three kids, 24-year-old daughter, which she did attend Bushwick EBC, a 15-year-old son, and now I have a 12-year-old daughter who's going to be 13. And then I said, you know what? I initially took the police exam. That's how I became a school safety agent, because I didn't have the college credits. And I'm like, I do not want to go back to school. But I took it serious, and I said, let me go back to school, and I did. And then eventually from college, I went to Boricua College. I got my associates there. Then I went back for my bachelor's in childhood education. And that's where, thank God I went there, because I would have never had thought about teaching if it wasn't that I attended that college. And that's another thing I want to tell our children, that don't think now that because I teach 12th graders, don't think that you have to pursue one career, like you have to pick one now. Trust me when I tell you, there's more than one that you're gonna like and you're gonna enjoy. Don't stay stuck on one. Keep looking around, and you'll find that path. But you should get some experience so that you know what you're getting yourself into. But yeah, so I went to Boricua, and then I went to your school so I could do my internship. I wasn't even thinking about ENL students. I was thinking about physical ed, because I'm hype. so then I taught the students. I did my internship, and I started thinking, wow, maybe I should do my master's in teaching. And I loved it. I'm presently an ENL teacher now, and man, this is the best. And I'm happy that I end up going to Boricua College to pursue this career.
But I want to stop you for a little bit and take you back, right? So you're a safety agent for 12 years, and that's a great job to have. Shout out to all the safety agents. It doesn't make you a less of a person than anything else. But what pushed you to go further? Why didn't you say, you know what, I'm making decent money. I like what I do. Why didn't you say, all right, well, this is it. Like I don't need you going back to school and master's degrees and 3 children. Um, you know, based on where you come from, you're from Brownsville, you know that place where I'm from.
Oh yeah.
All these different things. Why didn't you just go, hey, you know what? I'm doing good. I'm doing good enough. I don't need to go back and do it. Why did you keep pushing?
I would say I still had that hunger inside of me as far as in wanting to become a police officer and help others. Um, I noticed as I was a school safety agent, or even in other careers, a lot of us tend to settle and we get adapted to the environment. And we're like, oh, okay, I'll just stay here. But I think you should always self-assess yourself and see if you're happy with where you at, or if you want to grow, which that's where I wanted to pursue um, another career as far as in teaching. And that's when I went back to school. And again, I was going to go towards becoming a police officer. And then, the 2 officers that got assassinated a couple years ago, Ramos, he was one of them that I attended church with, and he was a school safety agent. So that had a huge impact on me thinking, is this really what I want to pursue? Especially me, when I respond to situations,
There you go
you
in.
have to, yeah. So I
Yeah.
would have to assess, and I got injured. I injured my shoulder, and I said, you know what? Let me just go to college and let me get the credits. But at the same time, I'm gonna get a degree, and that's when I looked into teaching, and that's how I geared to teaching. And it's
Okay.
something that I truly love.
Okay. Whoever's swinging the door back there, tell them I said hello because they're part of the interview at
Hi, Anthony.
this point. So I think that's powerful, and I want to pause there for a second because so many Black and Latinos, they have this fear. They have a fear of school. They have a fear of going back to school. They feel embarrassed. They feel like they're too old or whatever it is. And it's important that, like, through your story, people see it's not as difficult as we might think it is, right? You just have to focus a little bit, focus on your academics, get some help, tutoring, whatever, and you're able to really change some things. So now you are a teacher, you're working with students, you're working with parents and all these different kinds of people. How does it feel to be in your community, working with your staff, working with teachers, and also what did I threaten you and say when we went through the hiring? Do you remember what I said? I said you better not embarrass me.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. And you haven't. You've done a great job. But how does it feel now to be doing that?
Well, I think again, it's a blessing and it's an honor. Because it's it's relatable basically. Like when I teach and I teach these students, and when I say it's an honor, I feel like I'm so happy that I'm teaching within my community. These students, our kids, they need us, and if they don't have a teacher that can relate to what they're facing, the challenges, especially now through the pandemic, the loss that they've had, the challenges that they're dealing with now, and if they don't have someone to just reach out their hand to help them while they're down, while they're trying to climb a mountain, then why am I here for? There's a purpose to why I'm here, and that's my main goal. I need to help them. It's not even want. I know they need me.
Yeah, and I agree, man. I think people ask why I do what I do. I do what I do because I want the kid who's not the best student, who comes from kind of not the best household, to look at me and go, oh, if he did it, I can do it. That's it. To make it really normal and accessible, and to inspire them a little bit. And, I wanted to share this with you students because there are a lot of you who are facing or who have faced some of the challenges that Ms. Hernandez has gone through. Reach out to her. She doesn't have to be your advisory teacher. She doesn't have to be a teacher at all. Reach out to her. She'll make herself available. And you don't have to go through these things alone. And look at her story. It is not easy to do what she has done. It is not easy. It is not easy to go through the trauma she's gone through and still be successful and still be victorious. And when I tell you that she is one of the best staff members in the school, she resolved issues amongst staff members, parents, everybody. And hearing your story helps me to understand why you are the way that you are. So thank you so much for sharing. This was an awesome interview. Any last words?
One thing I want to tell the parents and our children is to basically never to give up, even when they fall in and they can't get up. That not just myself, but I know that we, the entire staff in ABC, will be there to just reach out and help them get back on their feet. If they feel like they're not motivated for whatever reason, to find a motivation, but most importantly, to do what makes them happy for themselves, and basically I'm here for them, and I know you're here for them, and I'm like a fire. I'm going to advocate for them. So if the parents or our children don't have a voice, I'm here. My fire is not going to dwindle out and die. Okay.
All right, let's not cause any fires.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You take care.
All right.